Hey, what's up you guys? I'm Sarah Lebrat and today's video is why 2021 is the year to write your book. And we're going to be giving you some tips on how to do just that. And this is actually a video in collaboration with Angela Ann. I'm going to be giving you guys 10 tips as more of a pantser because I tend to not write my first drafts with an outline. And then she's also going to be giving 10 tips over on her channel that come from more of a plotting point of view. And her video will be linked at the end of this one as well as in the description box down below for you to go check that one out after you're done watching this video. 2020 was a year that we all consumed a lot of different kinds of media, and you may even have been thinking about stories of your own that you might want to tell. Because you clicked on this video, that is the first step in this process. It is a clear sign that you want to write a book and that you should. Today I'm going to be giving you 10 practical tips of writing advice to help get you started on this journey. Tip number 1, if you are more of a pantser like myself, you don't really outline that much before the story itself begins. You might not really know what's going to happen in the entire story and therefore not really want to try and put it down on paper in a plot format or an outline format. How I tend to start my pantsing rough drafts is by writing out a couple dialogue snippets or a couple world building aspects or even a couple scene ideas if I have any. Sometimes I don't, but sometimes I do. Just to kind of give myself a gist of where the story is going to kind of be taking place, because one of the first things that falls into place for me at least is the world building. And one of the ways that I choose to really lean into that is when I first have a story idea and I'm getting ready to start the drafting process, I make this story a playlist and a Pinterest board. These are much more inspirational things that can really just help you get into the headspace of your story. Tip number 2 is breaking down your goal. Now that you have the concept, and that's amazing, congratulations. Now that you've made a playlist and a Pinterest board, it's time to break down your goal. The average novel is about 100,000 words. That seems to be somewhere between 300 and 400 printed pages. And that number alone can be very, very daunting. Your story might be longer than that, your story might be shorter than that, but we're going to be using the 100,000 words as our example today. Then you kind of want to think about, is this going to be a for fun project, or do I actually want to give myself an end goal for this rough draft? I encourage you to give yourself some sort of timeline because I've noticed that when I don't, I tend to be working on the project for a very, very long time. But if you want to write about 100,000 words in 6 months, that is just over 500 words a day for 6 months. If you want to write 100,000 words in 3 months, that's a little over 1,000 words a day for those 3 months, and then you have a completed rough draft done. So it's important to break down your goal and keep that end in sight. Tip number 3 is scheduling your time and tracking your progress. Now that you've broken down your goal into roughly how many words per day or per week you want to write, it's important to actually find the time to write, because intention is great, but unless you can actually write the words, your book's not going to get done. Scheduling time could mean waking up an extra hour early so that you get a solid 45-minute chunk in the morning. It could be 10 minutes at lunch, it could be a few minutes on your lunch break, it could be after work or after school, and I'm not going to condone this, but it could even be in class or at work. I have done both. I'm not saying it's good, but if you have a few minutes between things, it's all about finding time. And then it's important to track your progress. I choose to track my progress daily because I want to know how long I worked on my books. I want to know how many words I wrote in my creative projects, because seeing that progress is so encouraging to me and it spurs me to keep going. Tracking your progress also makes your goals seem a little bit more bite-sized and manageable because you can see how much effort you're actually putting into it instead of it feeling overwhelming, because we don't want it to be overwhelming. This is supposed to be fun. Tip number 4 is that when you get stuck, take productive breaks. Productive breaks are something that I freaking love doing on this channel, and realistically whenever I write, because when I'm getting stuck or between writing sprints, when my brain is getting just a little bit fatigued or needs a little bit of a break, but I still want to do something and I still want to stay productive, I will do things like make my bed, put away the dishes, maybe even do a load of laundry, something that keeps your body busy and only takes a couple of minutes. That way your brain can still be thinking about the story. And then as soon as that task or productive break is done, then you go right back into writing, and because it was a productive break, your brain is ready and rearing to get back into writing. Tip number 5 is to get a writing buddy or an accountability partner. These people can be found all over the place, but if you don't know where to start looking, I would recommend looking in Facebook groups because there are a lot of Facebook groups geared towards writers, or you could even look on Instagram. All of my writing buddies and accountability partners I did find online. I found one on Twitter and most of the rest of them on Instagram and other people in the writing community here on YouTube. Angela and I made a playlist that will include my video from this collab and her video from this collab, as well as other videos that we think might help you guys in starting to write a book for the first time. And so that's going to be linked down below as well as in the cards at the end of this video. So tip number 6 is to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Writing a book is not necessarily an easy process. I know for me it takes a very long time and is a very hard process. So it's important to try not to get bogged down and to make sure that you can take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Don't be too hard on yourself. Writing a book is a truly incredible thing. You are creating something that has never existed before. So in an effort to remind you to take a step back and look at the bigger picture, I'm going to share 3 of my favorite writing quotes with you today. First, you must put sand in the sandbox before you can build castles. You can't edit a blank page, and the rough draft is as bad as your book is ever going to be. All of these things are so incredibly true. I think the true magic and beauty of a story comes out later in revisions, but first things first, you have to get the idea on the page, which is what a rough draft is all about. Tip number 7, if you need some motivation, do some visualization. That kind of rhymed. What I mean are those milestones down the road that you will reach if you keep working on your story. That includes, but is in no way limited to, the feeling of accomplishment when you get to type the words "the end" at the end of your manuscript, that moment when you get to send your story out to your first round of beta readers for feedback, that moment you get an agent if you're choosing to go down the traditional publishing route, when you get a book deal, when you get to dedicate your book to someone or something, when you get to hold the printed out version of your book in your hands for the very first time, getting to go on a book tour, getting to see your book in bookstores, or even thinking about that moment in the future when you might get a call that your book has hit the bestseller list. I know that these are all things that I think of when I'm lacking motivation and want to take a step back and look at the bigger picture and kind of those long-term goals and milestones that I want to reach at some point. Tip number 8 goes back to tip number 5 a little bit, but when you get stuck and you're not really sure where the story is going, bounce your ideas off of someone that you trust with your story. This can totally be a writing buddy or an accountability partner. This could be one of your best friends. This could be a parent. This could be a sibling. It's entirely up to you and who you trust with your story. But sometimes just talking through the story out loud will give you the breakthroughs you need. Tip number 9 is to enjoy the process. Yes, I know this seems super generic, but one of my favorite ways to enjoy the process is to track my words, like I mentioned earlier, because it makes me really feel like I'm actively working towards something I really, really want to achieve. And then through that tracking, you get to start celebrating your milestones. You can celebrate any milestone you want, any way you want. You can celebrate every time you get 10,000 more words written in your project. You can celebrate with every 10 hours added to your project. There are a multitude of ways. And then on the celebrating side, there are a number of ways that you can actually celebrate whatever milestone you are choosing to celebrate. I have done a multitude of different celebrations for various milestones throughout my writing, and that varies from buying new colored pens and new notebooks to baking something like an apple crisp and buying a bottle of wine. One of my favorite things that one of my writing friends has done when she finished her rough draft of her story was bought herself a birthday cake and then danced around her apartment and ate cake for the rest of the night. This is something that you can really have fun with, but it helps you really enjoy the process of writing a book because it is all about the process. All right, tip number 10 is go after what you want. If the year of 2020 taught me anything, it's that you have to go after what you want in life because life is so freaking short. And you kind of just have to chase down your dreams with a machete. Because you made it this far in the video, it's very clear that you want to write this book in 2021. And in reality, that's all the reasoning you need to start. And so with those 10 tips, remember that progress is progress, and I'm wishing you all happy writing. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and make sure you go check out Angela's video. If you have any tips for new writers or someone who's just writing a book for the first time that I did not mention here in this video, feel free to leave it down in the comments down below. But if you enjoyed this video and you are not already, make sure you scroll down below, hit that big red subscribe button and that little notification bell next to it so you don't miss another one of my uploads. And so if you guys are interested in checking out that playlist that Angela and I put together, that will include more videos like this on what we think might help you start writing a book for the first time, I'm going to leave that right here. All right, well, I think that's gonna be it for me today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Sarah Lebrat, and I will see you guys next time with another video. Bye.